Honkai Star Rail version 3.4 is now here, and with it comes the first set of buffs to some of the game's older characters and lets them be more competitive to their more recently released peers. The buff characters are Kafka, Silver Wolf, Blade, and Jing Liu. Let's break down all the buffs those characters received and how they play now that they've been enhanced. First up is Kafka, the game's premier damage over time character. While the DOT archetype has suffered from a lack of new characters, Kafka's buffs will breathe new life to this playstyle. Kafka's skill now detonates all active DOTs on all targets it hits, not just the primary one. Her ultimate also received bigger damage multipliers. The first major buff for Kafka is in her talent's follow-up attack. It now has 2 charges, detonates all active DOTs on the target it hits, and can be triggered by any attack from an ally. This change boosts her team's single target damage. Kafka regains charges after her turn ends, or when she uses her ultimate. The second biggest change is to her A2, which now gives all allies, including Kafka herself, a massive 100% attack buff if their effect hit rate stat is at 75% or higher. Kafka's Eidolons receive buffs as well. Her E1 has been changed to inflict its DOT vulnerability debuff on every attack, not just her follow-ups. Her E2 had its multiplier buffed and now increases the DOT damage dealt by all allies by 33%. Kafka's buff makes her a full DOT enabler that prioritizes having more turns to use her follow-up attack, and ultimate to detonate DOTs. Because of this, her new best relic sets are the 4-piece Eagle of Twilight line and the 2-piece Lushaka, the Sunken Seas set. Because of her new A2, you now want to have effect hit rate to be the main stat for her body relic slot. And since she also wants to use her ultimate more than before, the main stat for her Link Rope relic should be energy regeneration rate. As always, get as much speed on her as possible. 160 remains your main goal, with 167 being the optimal breakpoint with the Eagle set for 3 turns in her first cycle. Next up is Silver Wolf, who is now arguably the best debuffer in the game. First up is her skill, which had its annoying RNG element removed. It now prioritizes inflicting an enemy with an element weakness corresponding to the element of the first character in your party lineup. Her ultimate is now fully AoE, dealing damage and reducing the defense of all enemies on the field. This makes Silver Wolf a more versatile pick and no longer limited to single target encounters. Her A4 now regenerates 20 energy at the start of battle, and 5 energy at the start of her turn. This change lets her use her ultimate on her first turn. It's also now possible to have a 1-turn ult rotation with Silver Wolf if she's E1, and using the before the tutorial mission starts light cone. All of her abilities also had their base chance to implant debuffs increased, reducing her effect hit rate needs. Speaking of effect hit rate, her new A6 now gives her bonus attack based on her effect hit rate. One of her Eidolons also got improved. Her new E2 now increases the damage taken by all enemies by 20% and allows ally attacks to also implant debuffs. This turns Silver Wolf into one of the best Nihility teammates for Archeron. Jiao Qiu has some serious competition now. Silver Wolf's buffs don't really change her builds much, though they do make building her easier. Her buff multipliers and new A6 now also make her deal some good damage. Sub DPS Silver Wolf is no longer a meme. Then we have Blade and Jing Liu, who we are lumping together a bit since both of them now fully scale off of HP. Blade no longer has the scuff attack HP dual stat scaling he once had, while Jing Liu can now more easily scale her damage with her massive crit rate and crit damage self buffs. Both Blade and Jing Liu had their abilities multipliers changed due to their new stat scaling, improving their overall damage output compared to their original forms. Let's first take a closer look at Blade's buffs. His skill now increases his aggro, which forces enemies to attack him more often, and in turn, trigger his follow-up attack more frequently. His follow-up attack now also regenerates 15 energy, letting him use his ultimate more often. The rest of Blade's buff kit now also improves the damage of his ultimate. His A2 now reduces the amount clear from the HP loss tally after he uses his ultimate by 50%. This reduces the fluctuation in damage output from all of his ultimates over the course of a battle, which works out to an overall damage increase. Blade's A4 now also records 25% of all healing he receives to his ultimate's tally of HP loss, making it easier for his ultimate to reach its full damage potential. Blade's E1 is no longer scuffed too, as it now makes his enhanced basic attack deal more damage to his main target, equal to 150% of the HP lost from his ultimate. Because of Blade's buffs, you should forego all attack stats and go all in on more HP. The 4-piece Longevous Disciple remains his go-to, but you can now comfortably switch to the 2-piece Bone Collection Serene Demise set. Finally, we have Jing Liu. Aside from her now scaling off HP, her new talent now gives her 44% crit damage whenever allies receive damage or consume HP, up to 5 stacks for a total of 220% crit damage. Jing Liu now also gains syzygy stacks after allies receive damage or consume HP a total of 20 times. And after obtaining max stacks of syzygy, Jing Liu's next attack will now ignore 25% of the target's defense. Her skill and enhanced skill now grant additional energy, 15 and 8 respectively, to let her use her ultimate more than before. Jing Liu's eidolons were also adjusted to account for her new HP scaling. Her E1 has been buffed to give more crit damage and always deal additional damage regardless of the number of enemy targets. E4 now grants bonus crit damage, while her E6 now grants 2 extra syzygy stacks and increases her ice resistance penetration by 30%. Jing Liu's best relics are now the 4-piece Scholar Lost in Erudition set and the 2-piece Bone Collection's Serene Demise set. Since Jing Liu still retained her massive crit rate and crit damage self-buffs, the main stat for her body relic slot should be HP. Blade and Jing Liu now synergizes better than ever in a double DPS team, though their support options have been limited somewhat. Since both of them have no more use for attack, their support should give damage buffs or debuff enemies. Hyacinth is hands down the best sustain for the two of them, especially if she has her signature Light Cone. For Harmony supports, go for Tribi and Runmei. You can also go for Nihility debuffers, and hey, the buff Silver Wolf is right there. Of course, you can still run Blade and Jing Liu solo in their own hyper carry teams. Sunday remains their best hyper carry support, but Bronya is no longer that good for them. And that's all the character buffs in Honkai Star Rail version 3.4. It's great to see these older characters get more love from the developers, and we hope all Kafka, Silverwolf, Blade, and Jing Liu mains have fun with their new and improved characters.